We're going to be learning the layered bob. This is a classic, lots of requests for a haircut, and it's nice to have this in your back pocket, believe me. All right, first we're going to start by just combing out her hair and make sure that you're getting every bit of it combed out in where it naturally falls. Then we're going to take a section in the back and we're going to section it from the O bone to the back of the ear on both sides. Make sure you clip that out of your way and from the O bone to the back of the ear. Okay, make sure that's all laying correctly. Look at the hairline, make sure it's all good to go. Have your client look down, and then you're going to establish your guide. I like to establish the guide right at that crook of the neck. But make sure that you're measuring this on your client's features, her face, where she wants it to land. Does she want it to land right at her jawbone? Is completely up to you. But what I'm doing is cutting straight down and straight across. At these corners, I'm actually bringing them back to me. So plant your feet right behind your client. Do not move your feet. Then that way you can bring the hair back to you so you're not cutting a round shape. You do not want to cut those corners off. You can tell by the angle of this. It looks like I'm cutting at an angle, like down 45 degrees, but I'm not. It really is straight across in the back. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit more hair down. Her density of her hair is pretty fine, pretty thin, so I could take a lot more. If you've got thick hair that you're cutting, you want to take less hair down. As long as you can see your guide underneath your next layer, then you're good to go. Again, comb this down so you can see your guide underneath. You want to make sure she's looking straight down or as much as possible. And you want to do that until you get past this curve of the head, just so you have a nice cutting area. And again, I'm cutting straight across. At this angle for the camera, I apologize. It's really hard to tell that I am cutting a straight line across. I'm pulling those corners back to me, over directing it back to me, just straight across. Again, this looks like I'm cutting at an angle. It is not. It is straight across. I am sorry I do not have a camera angle for you. I'm going to have to make another video of this. Maybe holding a camera right in front of me. I'm checking my corners. If you're like me, you always cut one side a little bit longer. So make sure you're checking your corners, evening them up before you take more hair down. This will save you in the long run. That way so you don't have to go back and keep checking and cutting shorter and shorter on each side. If you know, you know. All right, this is my last section. I'm going to make a U-shaped section from the top of the head all the way to that recession area. And if you can keep it in your mind that you're going to need to be following your part line and your guideline. So your part line, your cut's going to start running parallel to that line. Again, I'm cutting the back first. I'm cutting it straight across. Again, this does look like it's at an angle, but it's not. Trust me, it is straight across. I'm just pulling those corners back toward me so the hair will lay straight across. Again, that really preserves the length in that corner. This will give you the illusion that it's a little bit shorter in the back. It really isn't. When she tilts her head up, it will look like it's cut straight across. If you want it a little bit shorter in the back, then you would angle it a little bit shorter. Now on this, you're going to see that my lines are going to start being parallel to one another. See this? My part line and my cut line are going to be parallel. That's a great way of really protecting your guide and really remembering where you're at. And it also helps to make sure that your cut is all even. Now I'm taking the rest of the hair down. On her case, she doesn't have a lot to cut off on this last layer, but you want to comb the hair where it naturally falls. See how that I didn't brush that hair directly back because it grows in the direction over to the side. So you want to comb the hair where it is naturally wanting to fall. And then in this case, I'm just cleaning up a few little areas. You do want to make sure that you're not pulling too tight around those ears. I'm doing the same on the other side. Check your corners, make sure your haircut's even before you move on. If you're like me, it's always longer on one side. So if you need to make a little adjustment, do it then. Now I'm going in to do the layering. You see that I'm only going to be layering from the top of the O-bone towards the top. And this is a square layer on the back. You see how I'm pulling it out at a 90 degrees and then cutting it at a 90 degrees. You can see that I'm taking pie shapes from the radial partings from the top of the head, taking little pie shapes. They kind of look like Trivial Pursuit pie shapes. And again, holding it 90 degrees out, 90 degrees up. You might be able to see the little pie shape here. I'm making sure to get rid of that hair beneath the O-bone. We don't want to cut into that. That's going to be your thickness of your haircut. I'm taking these little pie shapes. Hard to see here, I know. Straight out and straight up. Now I'm going to be taking that piece of hair, that pie-shaped section right behind the ear. I'm going to over-direct it to the section before. You'll see that. And what that does is it really does preserve the length right around the ear. That's where most people with this haircut make some mistakes, or they'll get a hole in the haircut. So if you just over direct it back to the last section that you just did, that'll help you with that. It just preserves the length right there, right by the ear. And again, you'll see me doing this on the other side as well. Okay, now to double check that everything's even, I'm taking a little bit from each side, right at the top of the head, holding it straight up in the air. You can't see this. Again, my camera angle is terrible, but I'm going to hold it straight up, and I'm going to cut it straight across if there's anything to cut. Sometimes there's nothing to cut because you're spot on. Now we're going to move to the front, making an angled section on her hairline. And then we're going to pull things to the front. And remember, use your section line as your visual. It's going to mirror your section line. Right here, that's going to be the same as my section line. And then right by the ear, again, these ears, man, you want to over direct it so you don't come up with a hole. Okay, right around the ears. You've got to remember that. That is so important, especially when you're just beginning. Really protect that hair around the ears. And again, I'm just following my guide, bringing it down. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to speed it up a little bit because you can't see what I'm doing, but I'll speed it up and we'll continue from there. Okay, now I'm going to take a mohawk section, an inch, just at the top of the head. I do this on her down the middle, but if they part their hair on one side, always do it on the part line. Just take about a half an inch on either side of that part line, and you are going to use the guide from the very front, and you're going to cut it straight across. That's going to be your guide for everything else, okay? So I'm going to make a 45-degree angle section here, and I'm going to over direct it to the center of the crown area. Again, section it, over direct it, bring it up, straight up in the air, and you're going to cut it. What you're doing is you're using your guide from the back to determine the length of this. If you are not familiar with square layers, you can go over and watch my video on square layers. That might help you with this haircut a little bit, because basically this is a bob with square layers internally. So you can do square layers on any kind of haircut. It just gives you a little bit more movement in the crown area of your haircut. Okay, and now we're just going to check to make sure the haircut is connected. So I'm taking a little bit from the back, a little bit from the front, holding it straight up, and just if there's anything sticking out, you're going to cut it. I'm going to do the same on the other side, and then we're going to move on to blow drying. Okay, I have got just a light styling glaze on her with a little bit of Illuminate to seal down the cuticle. So I combined the sculpture and Illuminate because I just got done coloring her hair too, so it'll help protect her hair color. What I'm doing right now is going through and just really hitting the root area of her style, and I'm raising it up from the curve of the head straight up. That's going to build in some internal volume in her hair. So you always want to go through and blow dry about 80% dry before you go in there with your round brush. So now I'm going to go in with my, I think it's a 1.5 inch round brush, and I'm going to start blow drying her hair. I always start at the nape, clip all that hair up out of your way. Always start at the nape, make sure you're getting everything dry, and then I bring down a little bit more. And the trick here is just bring down the same amount of hair that is the width of your round brush. Anything more, you get it all tangled up. So if you're using a 1.5 inch round brush or a 2 inch round brush, that's how much hair you would be bringing down. So her color formula, just in case you're curious, is a gray blending color formula. I used Euphora Color 832, no ammonia. I mixed it with 7 volume developer, a 1:2 ratio, and I let it set for 15 minutes. What this does is it gives you more of like a semi to demi permanent, very translucent hair color. So all her gray white hair actually starts looking like highlights, but it gives it a little bit of tone, a little bit of beigey tone. It's a beautiful, beautiful way for people who want to add a little bit of color to their gray hair, not quite ready to go all salt and pepper, and it just wears off beautifully. Now notice as I'm rounding out the hair, see these little arrows here? The higher you get on the head, the higher you want to hold the hair when you're blow drying. That gives you the volume. So if you're at the nape, you're holding it down. In the midsections, you're holding it out. And at the very crown of the hair, you're holding it straight up in the air. Same on the sides. The sides, you definitely don't want to hold the sides out too high. I'm holding these out straight out because I want a little bit of volume there. I want to brighten up her eyes. And I'm actually holding my blow dryer at the same angle as her cheekbone. That is a huge secret, especially with folks over 40 or 50 who want to really brighten up their eyes. You want to make sure that you're lifting their hair by their cheekbone. It really does lift their whole face. It's like the secret sauce. Here you'll see it a little bit more. So first I'm checking to make sure that the hair right behind her ear is completely dry. So that's what you're seeing me do here. And then I'm going to take her hair right by her ear, in front of her ear. I'm going to hold it straight out, but I'm holding it at that angle of her cheekbone. See that? But I'm holding it straight out, angling my brush just like her cheekbone. If you need help with that, I do have a video on how to get volume out of your hair, blow dry volume. You can that'll help you with some blow drying secrets. And then again, I'm going through and I'm blow drying more of her crown area, holding the brush higher on her head. Another trick is too, if you want more volume, keep that brush in her hair for about 3 seconds after you're done blow drying. Oh, this is a huge, huge pointer. Over direct that hair right at those temple areas forward. It'll make her look like she has a ton of hair, especially if she has fine hair. This is the top of the head. Taking a mohawk section again, over directing it to the front. Over direct, over direct, over direct. Make sure it's completely dry. Over direct, and then hold it for 3 seconds. See that volume? That's the trick. Again, I'm going to take that fringe area, over direct, over direct, over direct, over direct, over direct, completely dry, hold it for 3 seconds. This is in fast forward motion. And again, the temple areas, over direct, blending everything. I'm going to do the other temple over here, over direct. That just blends those curtain bangs in a little bit, if you want to call them curtain bangs. Then after I'm done, I always do this. I go through and I use my fingers, separate the hair, blow dry, get it so you don't have that like set look. Also, you're feeling if there's any wetness in the hair. And here I'm going to take my Vest finger comb and comb through it, set it. And I might go through with some full effect, which would be wonderful. But in this, you could just see the layers and the softness to this haircut. There you have it. And that's our layered bob. When you know better, you do better.